Welcome to G-Man Gaming and Reviews. We're going to continue on of our guides to the characters. So we're going to move away from one of the characters that was in Season 1, and we're going to move to one of the characters that was in Season 2. So this is Luminary. So if we go back, he's one of the level 1 complexity heroes. I recently started using him a lot more, so that's why I'm doing him instead of Knife. Knife will probably be next. I need to do a little bit more research on how to use her, because I haven't really played her that often. I've used her, but I've used Luminary a lot, so I've got a good idea of how he plays. So, Luminary is an interesting character. So I suppose the thing to remember with Luminary is, so I've decided to create a layout for these particular guides that I'll be using. So the first part will be the discussion of the main role of the character. So we're going to essentially discuss what Luminary basically is. Luminary is a strange character. He's a little bit of a strange character because he functions quite different. I know he's a complexity level 1 character, like in terms of like his complexity, but he's a little bit more complicated to play than some of the other the complexity 1 characters, simply because of how he works, right? So if you look through his deck, you'll notice that he's got a lot of device cards in play. Now you might think playing him that then you want to get there's another character who comes to mind that's that appears initially to be very, very similar, and that's Unity, that I will talk about later. Unity is essentially a character that is all about getting these devices or golems into play, but she can't play them during her play phase, so she really benefits from having characters that can play cards out of the play phase with her. Now, when I first started playing as Luminary, I assumed that he was similar to her, but he's not. So he's a bit of a tank because his base power is that he discards 2 cards, and if there's any device cards that are so he draws 2 cards, and any device cards he puts into play, right? Now you'll notice here he's got 3 of these disposable defender cards in play that essentially tank damage for him. He's got another 3 that basically heal him. Another 3 that automatically do damage. So he's a bit of a tank in the sense that he can heal himself and defend himself quite well. And just to make him understand, he can destroy ongoing cards. He has the ability. He's got multiple cards that he has the ability to destroy ongoing cards. Okay, he can't really destroy environment cards except for with something I'll get to later. But he has the ability to destroy ongoing cards. So this is an important thing that we'll be adding to the guide with each character, because certain characters can destroy ongoing cards and certain characters can't. And if you're going to have a balanced team, you've got to have characters that can destroy ongoing cards depending against who you're playing. But you always want at least 1 character or 2 that can do it. Alright, so that's essentially his role. I'll go through the cards, but he's a bit of a damage dealer, he's a bit of a tank, and he's a bit of a team support. So I'll go through his cards, and then you'll get a better idea of how he operates. So his base power, which I will talk about, is Device, where he discards the top 2 cards of his deck and move any devices discarded this way into play, right? So that's his base power. Now there's a lot of devices in his deck, so he's going to be having a lot of cards in play, which is good. He's actually also a bit of a tank for, like, if you're playing with the Sentinels, he can actually tank for them because he'll be getting devices into play, and they'll have the lowest life as opposed to him. But I'll get into that a bit later. So we'll go through his cards first. So, like I said, base power, discards 2 cards, any devices that are discarded put into play. He's got one ongoing card, which is this one. Now, he's got this one ongoing card, but you always want this in play. It's really, really good for what it does. So, it increases the damages dealt by devices by 1. Okay, which is really, really good, especially for this character, because he's probably going to have a lot of devices in play. And when a device is destroyed, he can either discard the top card of his deck, or Luminary deals 1 target toxic damage. Most of the time, you're going to want to be discarding the card. Now, the reason that I say that is because he's got these Doomsday devices that have really powerful abilities that he can only use when there's 15 cards in his trash. So he wants to get cards in his trash as quickly as possible to make use of these cards. So the next card is a device which he has 3 of in his deck called Backlash Generator. Oh, okay, so I'll go back to the previous card. So the previous card is called All According to Plan. It's his one ongoing, it's limited. He's got 2 of them in the deck, and it increases damage dealt by devices by 1, and when a device is destroyed, either discard the top card of your deck or Luminary deals 1 target, 1 toxic damage. Next card is Backlash Generator. It's a device, it has 5 health. And basically what it does is the first time any device is dealt damage by a non-hero target, this card deals the source of that damage 1 lightning damage. Okay. He's got this one shot called Barred Blade, which it does a lot of things. Luminary deals 1 target 2 melee damage. Okay. He may draw a card and he may use a power. So this card allows him to use multiple powers a turn. Now, for the most part, the only power that you're going to be using is his base power or any of his Doomsday powers when he's got enough cards in the deck. Most of his devices that aren't Doomsday devices, you don't need to activate them in order to use them. They normally activate at the end of his turn or when something happens like Backlash Generator. But he's got one device that he has to use as a power in order to make use of it. And his Doomsday devices. So this can come in handy if you want to play multiple powers in a turn with him. Now, this card, Brilliant Inventor, is one of his best cards. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, put any devices revealed in this way into play, and discard the other revealed cards. You always want to play this card, because it's going to allow you to get more cards into play. And as well, it allows you to put more cards in the discard pile to quickly get to that 15 cards in the trash so that you can use those Doomsday powers. Oh, that card was called Brilliant Inventor as well. Next card is Consider the Price of Defeat. It's a one-shot. Each player may draw a card. Each hero target regains 1 HP. And discard the top card of your deck. Pretty good card. Bit of team support. So, you know, allows him to discard a card, and each player may draw a card, including himself. So it allows him to draw 2 cards a turn. Now there's this card here, which is called Dangerous Vision. Destroy any number of your devices. If at least one device is destroyed in this way, search your deck or trash for a Doomsday or ongoing card and put it into play, shuffle your deck. Now, you'll notice that this isn't just for Doomsday cards, it's also for ongoing. So this card allows him to get his ongoing card into play, which you always want to have into play. I mean, you can use it for a Doomsday card as well. But, if you happen to need a particular Doomsday card, but great card. The next card is Disposable Defender. Now, essentially, it's a device with 5 health, and when Luminary would be dealt damage, redirect it to this card, right? Now, it also has a power which you may play a device, move a device card from your trash into play, destroy this card. So not only can you use this card to say, let's just say that you've got a Disposable Defender that's on 1 health, right? You can use the power to draw another Disposable Defender card that's in your trash, and then you replace that one with a new one. But this can also be used to draw Doomsday cards, the Doomsday devices from your trash. So one of the things that's really, really interesting about this character is that he has no trouble getting to his Doomsday cards. He can get to them very easily. Now, this card is a Doomsday card. It's called Explosive Reconstructor. If there are 15, or it's a device and it's a Doomsday card, and its power is, if there are 15 or more cards in your trash, move all devices from your trash into play, and this card deals each non-hero target 2 fire damage, then shuffle your trash into your deck and destroy this card. Now, for the base variant, this is probably the weakest of the device of the Doomsday cards, because the other two do things that are a lot better. But the one variant of him that I will get into in part 3 might find this useful. But for the most part, you really don't want to be using this. I mean, if you happen to have like a lot of devices in the trash, then maybe it could be useful, but most of the time, it's not really that useful. Now, his next card. Now, he's only got one of those Doomsday cards. He's only got one of the Explosive Reconstructor cards in his deck, and each of the Doomsday cards, there's only one of them in the deck. His next card is Hasten Victory, which is a one-shot, and Luminary deals each villain target 1 lightning damage. You may play the top card of your deck. Not much to say about it. I mean, bit of damage to each villain target. But most of the time when you play this card, you're trying to, get through your deck as fast as possible. But if you happen to have Brilliant Inventor in your hand, don't play this card. Play Brilliant Inventor, unless you're using a character like Legacy, who's got damage buffs. Then the 1 damage can, once it's buffed, this card's a lot better. But not a bad card. His next card is one of the 3 Doomsday cards. This one's pretty good. There are times when you'll use the other one, but this one's pretty good. So it's a device. It's called Orbital Death Laser. It's a device. It's got 5 health, and its power is, if there are 15 or more cards in your trash, this card deals 1 target X irreducible energy damage, where X is the number of cards in your trash. Then shuffle your trash into your deck and destroy this card. So it essentially deals irreducible energy damage based on the number of cards in your trash. It's a pretty good card, and because it's irreducible, it's even better. Because unless the enemy is immune to energy, they're taking a lot of damage. Now, I gotta say, I don't use this one as often, but this one is more useful if you're playing with a villain who has less targets in play. Like maybe Spite, who doesn't really have a lot of targets who like Spite, for instance, or villains that don't really have villain targets. This one's probably the better one to use. Now, we come to one of his devices. There's 3 of these in the deck, and it's called Regression Turret. Now, this one, unlike his other devices that aren't Doomsday cards, you actually have to use... it's a power card. And essentially what it does is, it's a device, and it has a power. This card deals up to 3 targets, 1 projectile damage each. Until the start of your turn, reduce damage dealt by targets dealt damage this way by 1. So essentially, it's like it reduces the damage that any target that's damaged by it. It essentially reduces their damage output by 1. It is a pretty good card in certain instances. Like if there are times when you need to reduce the damage that's coming from one target, this can be really, really good to play as opposed to, say, playing his base power. But like I said, if you don't need to reduce damage, this device can go. This device is expendable. One of the things to remember about playing a Luminary is that, unlike, say, playing with other characters who get devices into play that want to get as many cards as they possibly can play, Luminary is all about destroying his own cards, because any cards that you destroy end up in his discard pile, and the more cards in his discard pile, the better his Doomsday cards are. So if you need to use it, but if it's not serving any purpose, feel free to destroy this one. Now, the next card is the Repair Nanites, which is a device. This is one of the reasons why Luminary is so tanky. So it's a device, it has 5 health, like the rest of the devices. Now, the card is immune to melee damage, and at the end of your turn, either Luminary regains 1 HP, or up to 3 devices regain 1 HP each. Now, you start to see why this character, when he's got the disposable defender card to redirect damage, and he's got device cards that heal him or heal his devices, you start to see why he's really tanky. And why he's very self-sufficient. He doesn't really require a lot of help to do what he needs to do. Unlike the variant, he's very self-sufficient. So you can play him with pretty much any team, and he'll be able to do what he needs to do. Now, the next card is the Saber Battle Drone. It's a device, and it has 5 health, and at the end of your turn, this card deals 1 target melee damage. And then you may destroy one of your devices. If you do, this card deals 1 target 3 fire damage. Now, if you've got a lot of these in your hand, and you've got devices that aren't doing anything, like the regression turret, get rid of destroy the regression turret to do more damage. I mean, there's no harm, because, I mean, you're going to be using your power anyway to get more devices back into your deck, so back into your play, so it doesn't really matter. That's one of the things to understand about Luminary, is that his devices are expendable. He can get more of them into play very easily, so for him, devices are expendable. The next card is a one-shot. It's called Technologically Stable. It allows you to draw a card and move a device from your trash to your hand, and then you may play a card. Now, you kind of always want to play this. I mean, moving the device from your trash is really good, but being able to play an extra card and draw an extra card is actually really good as well. It helps him. This character is very self-sufficient. He's very able to get to the cards that he needs to get quite quickly, especially when it comes to devices. Now, the next card is the Terra Luna Translocator. It is a Doomsday device, and its power is, if there are 15 or more cards in your trash, for every 2 cards in your trash, you may destroy 1 non-character card other than this card. Then shuffle your trash into your deck and destroy this card. This card is brilliant. Okay? It destroys ongoing cards. It destroys environment cards. It pretty much destroys everything except for villain cards. So, like, most of the time you're going to be deciding between the one that deals irreducible damage or this one, right? And depending on which villain you're playing, like if you're playing against a villain who likes to get a lot of targets in play, this one is useful. Because basically you can clear his deck. And this doesn't just get rid of targets, it also gets rid of ongoing cards as well, and environment cards. As long as the card isn't indestructible and it's not a character card, it can be gotten rid of by this card. So, and I mean 15 card. Since you've got to have 15 cards in your deck, in your trash to use it, at minimum it's going to be getting rid of 7 cards. That is really powerful. And unlike the end of days card that Fnatic has, you get to choose which cards it gets rid of, as opposed to just wiping the deck. So normally, as I said, you'll be deciding between this Doomsday card or the one that does damage. Either way, Luminary's got a Doomsday card for, whatever he needs. Now, the second last card is called Timely Disruption. Now, it's a one-shot, and destroy up to 3 non-character card devices and /or ongoing cards. You may draw a card for each card destroyed this way. Now, this destroys more than one ongoing card. It can destroy up to 3. So, and it allows you to draw cards for each card that you destroyed. So, and not just is it useful for getting rid of ongoing cards, it's also useful for getting rid of devices that you don't want to draw more cards. So, a very, very good card. The only thing you've got to decide with this one is whether or not you're going to save it for ongoing cards, or whether you're going to use it to try to just draw more cards. Like if you've got like a whole bunch of regression turrets and you don't need them, you might decide to destroy them just to draw more cards. But most of the time, depending on who I'm playing, I like to keep cards in hand that can destroy ongoing cards, because you never know when you're going to need to get rid of an ongoing card. There are certain ongoing cards in certain decks that can just completely ruin you. Alright, now the last card is called Triple Cross. There's 2 of them in the deck, and it's a one-shot, and you destroy a hero non-character card. Now, if you're going to destroy, you have to destroy one hero non-character card, so destroy a device. Don't destroy like an ongoing card or something that you actually need, just destroy a device, right? And the rest of it is destroy up to 3 targets with 5 or fewer HP, and one target deals itself 5 psychic damage. Once again, this is a pretty good card. It's like a weaker version of the Doomsday card, which clears the Terra Luna Translocator card. This, if you have this at the start of your hand, then you need to get rid of a lot of targets, like with certain villains. This is a good card to have. As long as they've got 5 health or less, it's really, really good. So that's essentially all his cards. What I forgot to say was if you're watching this as a podcast, please rate this 5 stars if you want, and subscribe. If you're watching it as a YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. For those people watching it on YouTube, I will actually be putting up the podcast link, because I'm turning these into podcasts as well, so you can listen to it on the go. So this was part 1 of Luminary. What we'll do now is we'll do a playthrough with him in part 2, which will only be on YouTube, and I'll link it. I'll link the YouTube video or the section in the podcast notes, and then after that there'll be a part 3. So moving on to part 2. Welcome to G-Man Gaming and Reviews. Alright, so this is going to be part 2 of our playthrough, which will only be on YouTube. I'll be linking to this from the podcasts. Alright, so we're going to play a game to show you a playthrough of how Luminary works. So we'll take Legacy because we already know how he plays. take Luminary, and we'll take Wraith again. We'll pick this environment. We'll pick one of the easy environments because the purpose of this is to show you how Luminary plays and how you play with him. And there we go. Now, he has actually this card in his hand, which actually came very, very useful right now, because I can use it to destroy all these cards. Now, this card isn't always useful, but as you can see now, it actually is. So I'm going to play it. And now we're going to use it to destroy these cards, which is great, because it means that we get rid of these guys, so we're not going to take damage. And we'll have this one deal itself 2 damage. And we'll use his base power. You always want to be using this power. So he's going to draw 2 cards, and he gets these 2 devices in his play area. Now, what are we going to do with Wraith? This isn't a guide for Wraith, but if you've got this card, you always want to use it. So we're going to take the utility belt and we'll put it in play. And we will put this in play as well. Got to get this out of our hand. And we'll play this, and we'll use Galvanize. But at least he's not going to draw any new cards. Dear. Wow. I've never seen that many entry points drawn in the same thing. I think 2 of them are going to be destroyed because minus the number of cards discarded. Now, what cards do I want to discard with Luminary? 3 nah, we're just going to take the damage. Now, I'm going to play this to do damage to that. We're also going to use this ability. Now, this regression turret is useful in certain instances. Basically, what as I explain what it does is that anytime it deals damage. Oh wait, anytime it deals damage, it reduces the damage of those targets by 1. So because I played this card, it allows me to use an extra power and draw a card. But like I said, normally you want to be using... Now, I can't use this card because it's a Doomsday card, and there has to be at least 15 cards in the trash, and there's only 2. So I'm going to use this power to draw another 2 cards. And that didn't work out so well, but that's fine. Okay, she hasn't taken damage yet, so we're not going to bother with that. So we'll do our damage here. Now, just in case you're wondering, I'm playing against the easier villains, so I can take less hero cards, so I can keep it simpler, so that I can actually show you how to play as Luminary. Now, like I said, with Luminary, you want to be getting to... Ooh, we'll take his Inspiring Presence. No, I don't want to discard that. No. No. Well, if I discard cards, it's going to allow him to get to his 15 card hand thing first. So we'll discard some cards. We'll discard that. What about Wraith? What about Legacy? It should also be doing... see how it would be doing -1 damage? So it actually would have done 1 damage to everything, but because of this entry point card here, it's actually increasing the damage that... It's increasing the damage done by villain targets. So I'm just going to click choose for me because I'm going to end up taking damage. Ooh, Crimson Pin, not good. So we've got 7 cards in the deck. Now we can use this to draw a card. So we will... So this allows us to draw a card from our hand. And play a card. So we're going to draw the Regression Turret. Draw the Regression Turret. Now, this Regression Turret is actually quite good with Legacy, because instead of just doing 1 damage, it does 3 to 3 targets, which is actually pretty decent. And it means that it's more likely to do damage, so it's going to have its ability. So we'll click on that. Use this. Ooh, that's going to take it out. Very, very nice. See how Legacy buffs damage? See how powerful it is? Even the base variant of Legacy is very good, but I don't really use it that often now. But there's a base variant for Legacy to do just about everything. So we'll play this. And we're gonna focus on healing. So we'll do that. Now, Legacy's actually doing pretty good. He's got the cards that he needs. Yeah, we'll discard it. No, we do not want to discard that. No, we do not want to discard that. More pins. Now he's got 8 cards in the deck. We just need, in the trash, we just need, I think 7 more to get 15. Yeah. So we're going to play a card. We're going to play... play the disposable defender. We're not going to bother doing the damage. I'm going to try to get to... I'll play this card. We finally draw the infrared eyepiece and the grappling hook. That's actually some good cards. We'll get rid of combat stance. And we've already got Razor Ordnance, so we don't need it again. So we'll do straight damage. That gets rid of that. No, I'm not destroying the card. You can do me the damage. Gloomweaver. So we basically want both these cards in play. Now, Galvanize is much more useful when you've got more characters in play. Because the more characters there are, it buffs all of them. Yes. Yes. No. Oh no. Oh no. There's a bigger problem here. One irreducible damage. Yeah, it's 1 irreducible damage. We'll give it to him. Now, the other thing to note about Luminary is he's a bit of a tank because he's got all these cards that heal him and that can take damage for him. And because of that, see, now I've got repair nanites, which are going to heal me at the end of the round. Yep. See, he takes the damage, and I don't care. Now now main character. Now I don't care if I lose this disposable defender, because there's more in the deck, and I can easily draw them. All right, so I'm going to play this one. I'm going to play this. Need to get rid of these. This is annoying because it's going to stop Luminary from getting... I'm going to play this and get rid of this card. Now he's got lead from the front, which means he's pretty much set up to defend. Now I just need to have a look to see... Don't need to worry about him. He's going to be healing more damage. So this time what we'll do is we'll have him use Galvanize. Make sure we're doing lots of damage. Yes, discard it. Yes, discard it. Yes, discard it. Ooh, yes, he discards a card. This isn't bad for me. Not for other characters it would be, but not for Luminary. He wants to be discarding cards. So it's not bad at all. So this is going to do damage. So that's going to do damage to 3 targets. You start to see why the base variant of Legacy is really good, because not only does he buff damage to an incredible degree, but he also tanks. Now he has no ability, the base variant has no ability to get rid of ongoings or environment cards apart from targets. But that's the thing, this is a team game, you're not meant to have one character do everything. So we're going to go like this to draw another 2 cards. And we get this card in play. We'll have him take the damage. No, I do not want to get Legacy to take that. So now that's another card. So we discard another card. So you'll notice that this ability here, every time a device is destroyed, I can either discard a card or Luminary deals 1 target toxic damage. So either of those are pretty good. Now we're going to play... have we got 2 stun bolts? We'll play this. And we'll use Wraith to do some deck control. What card do we want to play? Yeah, this one's the better one. Easier to kill. And we will take Fortitude. And what are we going to be resistant to? Okay, that's fine. What's she got? We'll take Galvanize. Next evolution is pretty powerful, but I don't know what to be resistant to. So... yeah, we'll discard that. No, we do not want to discard that. No, I do not want to discard that. I was playing a game previously against an advanced Plague Rat. I just couldn't get the lead from the front card. I had every other card, and it wasn't until I got the villain down to like 40 life or something from 80 that I finally got that card. It was an absolute nightmare. In this game, though, Legacy's gotten set up pretty quickly. He's gotten the cards that he needs. Now, I don't like all these environment cards. Now, normally you could use this one here to just do a crap load of irreducible damage, but I don't think I need to. But that would be the other thing to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... so we heal. And then we're going to use this to... so what this does is that if there are 15 or more cards in your trash, for every 2 cards in your trash, you may destroy 1 non-character card other than this card. So I can destroy this and all of these. And I think I think I kind of want to. Get rid of him. Get rid of that zombie servant. Get rid of entry point. Get rid of that. Definitely get rid of that. And get rid of that. And get rid of that. And we're not getting rid of any more. Now I can play this. Hang on. Just needed to check if my pizza was on the way. Alright, so I'm going to use this to have a look at the deck. Probably want to play this one. Targets are a lot easier to get rid of than ongoing cards, depending on which characters you're playing. There are certain characters that have the ability to, that have ongoing or equipment cards that can get rid of, whatchamacallit. You'll notice that you see how she's doing really heavy damage. Like, because of that micro targeter plus Legacy's thing, she's doing a lot of damage per turn. I'll go into Wraith in the next guide, probably. So we'll do the Flying Smash, just to do the extra damage, because I've got nothing else that I want to do. We'll leave that there. And we'll use Galvanize. No! What? Now, this Dangerous Vision card can be used to draw an ongoing card. The only one he has in the deck, which is this one, you always want to have that in your in play. And to draw a Doomsday card from the deck or the trash. But he's also got other cards, like his Disposable Defenders can also be used to draw cards from the trash. So, yeah. I'm going to play Black Backlash Generator. And we're going to use this to take out some guys. Yeah, this becomes really, really good with Legacy. And his All According to Plan, because it's 1 extra damage. This turret's actually pretty good when there's multiple targets, especially with a damage buff. And this is the reason why Luminary is such a tank. Because he can't really... He has no way of directing damage to himself, but if an enemy targets the highest HP person, it's always going to be him. With the exception of maybe some other characters like Absolute Zero, who can just heal like mad. Alright, so we're going to play the Mega Computer. We'll use this to... Okay, this is why I use this. You do not want to have... You want to make sure that there are cards that you control the deck. I'll go into it later when I do a Wraith guide. But you want to control the deck. You want at least one character who can control the deck. Sometimes deck controlling is somewhat useless. Simply because... Sometimes it's somewhat useless because... There are certain characters, there are certain villains that can draw more than one card per deck. More than one villain card per turn. Against them, the deck control is a little bit not that useful. It's still better than nothing, but it's not. It doesn't completely control the deck like with, say, a villain like Gloomweaver who really only draws one card a turn. And we'll use this. Alright, I'm going to go get pizza now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'll cut back to this, to the point of where we continue on from the gameplay. So stay tuned, I'll just be cutting to the next section now. Welcome back to G-Man Gaming and Reviews. So we're going to continue on with our gameplay of Luminary. So let's have a look. Might it not have been a smart idea to have... use this card here. I did get rid of a lot of environment cards, but I could have used it to have gotten rid of relics. That being said, we're going to try to ooh, yes, we want to do that damage to that. Yes, and we want to play the top card. And I'm going to do this. We're going to regain health. We're going to use this one. Okay, we'll use kind of want to get rid of this card, this entry room card, so we'll get rid of it. Use the one to check the deck. Yeah, definitely don't want this card ending up in play. This is the reason why you need deck control. Wraith is probably one of the... There's not that many characters in this game that have deck control. Of the villain deck, that is. But she's definitely got it. So we'll just use this to do mega damage and get this pin out. And we've got a Bolster Allies card. We'll use Galvanize. And we finally got the ring for Legacy. So now we can use 2 powers a turn. Play this. And she's going to do damage to take out... She's going to do damage to take out this card, so I don't need to worry about that. I'll just use Device to draw another 2 cards. And then we're going to heal. Like I said, We'll use the droid to do this. And we'll get rid of Backlash Generator to discard it to do more damage. Oh. Okay, but that should take him out. And there he goes. And you'll notice I've got 10 cards in my trash. So, it's very, very easy for Luminary to get a lot of cards in his trash. Play this card, because there's nothing else to play. We will do this. Ooh. Not sure which one's worse. 1 damage and 1 damage to each target. Or is this one worse? No, I don't want. That one's the least worst. Okay, but now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to... So we play the ring. And now we're going to play this to get rid of that character. Yep. And everyone heals, which is good. And then we use Galvanize again. This is not good. This card needs to be taken out. We'll have it go here. No, we are not going to redirect the fire damage. Wait a minute. And we discard. Do you want to redirect 2 fire damage? No. Now remember, with Luminary, most of his devices are expendable, and the great thing about most of his devices is that they don't actually require... You don't actually have to use a power... You don't have to use them in the power phase for them to be used. They automatically take effect at the end of the turn. With all of them except for the regression turret. Now we've got to take him out, so we're at 12 cards already. See how fast he goes through his his deck. That's why it's really, really good. What? And we will take him out. And now we'll use it on him. And we use this power. Ooh, and we've got the Doomsday card that we wanted. And we're going to use this. Now we could destroy a card, but we're not going to. We might as well destroy this, actually. And we're going to discard the top card of the deck. And you'll see he's doing mega damage now. We got 2 stun bolts in play? No, we don't. We don't have 2 stun bolts in play. We got... No, we don't. We don't have 2 stun bolts in play. Alright. Put the other stun bolt in play. Let's have a look. Oh, what's worse? This one's least worse. And we'll use the razor to do some mega damage. And we will do this. So he's doing damage. And I'll use Galvanize. Now, luckily, I get to choose. It's not random. We'll put him in play because he doesn't actually deal any damage. I think I'm going to become immune to melee damage. Simply because he seems to have a lot of cards that cause melee damage in his deck. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to use this ability to do 15 damage. So we're going to go like this and take these cards out. Very, very nice. Normally it's 1 damage, but with Legacy it becomes a lot better. And I got another one. I got another one. Yes, I want to play the top card. Ooh, yes, and we got Bard Blade. We're going to take this guy out. And we're going to use this device to do 15 damage and it's irreducible damage. Irreducible energy damage. So unless the enemy is is immune to energy damage, this is always doing damage. I'm going to use it on him. And now he's almost dead. No, we'll discard the top card of the deck. And we will use... because I used the Bard Blade card, I can use an extra power. Which is why I definitely want to use... This card is so much more useful with Legacy's buffs, actually. Like, it's way more useful. It goes from doing 1 damage to, like, 4 with the ongoing card. And 3 to take him out. And you'll notice he's still healing. Yeah, we're going to destroy this. And deal 1 toxic damage. And we're going to take him out. And that is pretty much how you play Legacy. Not Legacy, Luminary, sorry, Luminary. You'll notice that he starts with 27 health. You'll notice that he really hasn't gone down in health that much. Because his cards heal him and help him take damage. So he's very tanky in terms of being very survivable. And the other thing that's really great about him is that if you're playing with the Sentinels, because they have such low health, he can actually tank damage for them, but with his device cards. So this was the end of part 2 of the character playthrough. We're going to move on to part 3, talking about the variants, or in this case the one variant, and sort of great team ideas for mixing Luminary with. Alright, so we'll continue on to part 3. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Welcome to part 3 of our Luminary guide, where we talk about variants and where does Luminary, he or she, fit in the team depending on which variant you play. So the Luminary only has one variant, and it's this one. Now this variant is extremely different and needs to be played in an incredibly different way than the base variant. The base variant of Luminary, which I will go back, is very self-sufficient. He doesn't require a lot of help to do what he does. In fact, he really doesn't require any help. I mean, damage buffs are really good, but are really good for him. But he doesn't really need them. Okay, he's got ways of buffing his own damage with his all according to plan card. So, because of that, the base variant is very self-sufficient. You can pretty much put him in any group and he will contribute. Alright? He'll either contribute by tanking, or he'll contribute by doing damage or getting rid of crap loads of cards. Or, you know, he'll contribute. Now, one of the teams that he works well with is the Sentinels. Okay? Because they have low health, a lot of the times, they're going to be targeted by cards that say, do damage to the lowest to the non-villain target with the lowest HP. Now, if you're playing as the Sentinels, a lot of the times they will be the lowest HP because they have lower HP than the rest of the heroes. But if you're playing as the base variant of Luminary, you're going to have a lot of device cards in your hand, right? And you'll notice that these devices don't have any more than 5 health. So he becomes better able to tank damage for low health targets. And if these devices get destroyed, it doesn't hurt him because that's just extra cards going in his discard pile so that he can get closer to his Doomsday cards. So, he does have a bit of team support, and he's got this card, Timely Disruption, which gets rid of a lot of ongoing cards. But, yeah, that's enough about the base variant. I've pretty much covered him. So now we'll move on to this one. So, I think it's Heroic Luminary, if I recall. Yeah, Heroic Luminary. Yeah. Now, this variant is very different from the base variant in that for this variant, devices are not expendable. So basically the base power is Luminary deals 1 target, 1 lightning damage, where per the number of devices in play. This does not only include devices in your deck, like these cards, it also includes devices in the enemy deck and devices that other players may play. If any other heroes have device cards, I think Lifeline does. So this character wants to have as many devices in her hand in order to do damage. So when you play her, this variant is not as self-sufficient as the base variant. If you're playing this variant, you want to play characters that allow her to get more device cards into her hand. Either characters that give her the ability to play extra cards are really useful. There's a variant of Legacy that does that, which is one of the variants that I use the most often. And also Argent Adept is very good with her because he actually has the ability to allow a character to play 2 cards per turn. Right? So this version of Luminary wants as many devices as she can in play. The other thing is that she also wants the devices to be protected. because the more devices she has in play, the more powerful her ability becomes. And eventually it can get to a point where she can be doing like 9 damage every turn, which is a lot of damage to be doing every turn consistently. Doesn't include the damage from her device cards as well. So if you're going to play her, you want characters that allow her to tank more damage, and especially protecting her and her devices. Okay, you want if you want a Legacy or the Sentinels or something that can protect her devices from taking damage, because, like I said, her base power is all about having as many devices in play as she can. So, like I said, this variant isn't as self-sufficient as the base variant. Only play this variant if you've got ways of getting lots of cards into her hand. If you don't have any abilities to play more cards per turn, probably shouldn't wear a variant with. So some examples of characters that work really well with her are Argent Adept, because he's got the ability to draw more cards. Legacy, especially Legacy, because he's got a variant. This variant here that allows one player either to move an environment card to the bottom of the deck, or one player may play a card. Another character who works well with Luminary is Omnitron X, the base variant, because he can actually reveal the top card of a deck and put it into play or into trash. That being said, when playing with him, you kind of need to decide whether or not you're going to want to use that power on himself. But I'll get into that later when I cover Omnitron X. So that's pretty much Luminary in a nutshell. Bit of team support, a tank, not in the sense that he can direct damage to himself, but also there's a card that works really well with him, which is Wraith's Smoke Bombs, because a lot of the times he's going to have the highest life, so that can direct damage from the lowest hero target to him, because he's normally going to have the highest health. So this was our guide of part 3 of our guide of Luminary. So this will also be in podcast form, which I will link to the YouTube video. So if you want to listen to it as a podcast, which is really, really good because it allows you to do it on the go, please do that. If you were listening to this on the podcast, please rate it 5 stars if you wish. If you're watching it on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. This was G-Man Gaming Reviews, and this was our guide of Luminary. Thank you. Goodbye.